The straightest line isn't always the shortest way from A to B.
Hello indie game fans, what can I say? Indie games are amazing, where June did just prove me right once again, with a surprisingly robust lineup in spite of E3, so here are my picks of the best, all of which are very me games. Let's begin with Labyrinth City, Pierre, the Maze Detective, one of the most eye-catching titles ever, drawing from a series of children books which features intricate mazes and wondrous landscapes to explore, only this time it's digital. It's not the most difficult game in the world, but the exploration and hidden object aspect is wonderful, of course giving off Where's Waldo vibes, but the sheer beauty of the art has to be seen to be believed.
I refuse to die here!
When you woke in the snow, your mind was already gone.
I'm a deserter. A dead man walking.
Your brother is your weakness, Celine.
Darian is the only person I can trust with this mission.
We have no choice but to fight this abomination. The corrosion.
The long-in-development JRPG, Age of Eternity, launched out of early access last month, coming to us from a relatively small French studio, which makes this pretty impressive.
What are you ready to sacrifice to save her?
Come and get me!
It's an epic open-world JRPG with a setting that mixes sci-fi and fantasy, where alien technology caused great chaos in the world, warping both magic and technology to their darkest extremes.
Will of the gods!
Everyone is dead! What kind of hope is this?
It does have your stereotypical emo boy protagonist, complemented with his sister in a two-character setup, with character designs, art direction and vibe that is not unlike Final Fantasy XV. Decent combat and an interesting crystal upgrade system, akin to Materia from FF7, rounds off the package, although it isn't without its flaws, but I do think that it's of interest for fans of the genre.
This is the story of what we have sacrificed.
I do love my cozy games, where one of the best of the year so far is Luna's Fishing Garden, a charming little title that has you fishing, trading them in to purchase plants to grow your garden. Simple loop but wonderful look and nice variety of fish to catch simply makes this a joy. I'm a sucker for roguelite deck builders, so of course Roguebook got my attention, coming to us from the developer of Faeria, and with the involvement of one Richard Garfield from Magic the Gathering fame. This game doesn't reinvent the wheel, having an interface and system very much like Slay the Spire, but does allow you to mix and match two heroes to play as, with skills that synergize and play off each other like in Monster Train. There's also a more in-depth overworld exploration portion, although I do wonder what the post-launch support of this would be, if any. One of the most fascinating management entries of the month is Spellcaster University, where you play as the director of a magic academy, having to build out the compound and giving directions to the type of school that you want to run. Most interestingly, there are deck building elements which determines what rooms you can build, as well as random events, other factions in the world, and an encroaching darkness and a dark lord or two, all polished up nicely in early access, which makes this worth a play. If you think that the picks are interesting so far, do me a favor and smack that like button since it does help the channel. I've had my eye on Until We Die for a little while, since I do like the pixel art, reminding me of the zombie survival title, Zelda, but with a setting more like the Metro series in a post-apocalyptic Russian subway station. This is an action side-scrolling defense management title that is more akin to Kingdom, having you build barricades and defenses to fend off waves of mutant creatures. It's a survival title that currently has one scenario, kicking you back to day 1 when you fail, where the main complaint seems to be lack of content, but despite not being an early access game, does have a content roadmap that promises more scenarios, so it's a weird release on the technicalities, but pretty great in terms of systems and gameplay. Speaking of great gameplay, the all-action run-and-gun platformer Mighty Goose will feel oddly familiar to some, having quite the obvious Metal Slug inspiration. You play as a goose who is an intergalactic bounty hunter, landing on a new planet in search of the Void King himself, blasting through hordes of enemies and mighty bosses in order to do so. I love the look of this, which, while not quite on the level of a Metal Slug, does still look fantastic, but one of the issues that me and some other people have had is the readability of this game, since the screen can get very busy and it's easy to walk into enemy projectiles. While there is co-op support, I've heard that it's not great, where the second player is more of a sidekick character, but despite the issues, it's still a fun experience. The amazing turn-based tactics RPG Wildermyth also made it out of early access, being a myth-making entry where the element of time comes into play, where heroes can grow old, have children and die, but their legacy lives on in more ways than one. This launch trailer talks about some of these systems through a heartfelt conversation between mother and son, so enjoy and get a taste of what this game has to offer.
Oh, you found it. Oh, my journal, my drawings.
These pages are old, Mom.
Well, careful.
This is all from your hero days?
Huh, and before. I was just a strong-shouldered farm girl once. I had long black hair.
Sure, Mom, but what about when
the Gorgons came?
Yeah, and you saved the town.
Well, we fought the Gorgons together. Your father was there. We were kids. He was shy, bookish, cute, of course. But that day, he did magic. So I was a warrior. Folks called him a mystic. We chased those stone-eyed Gorgons past the hills to places where trees walk, where the ruins of other yonderings lie like buried bones, and met a moth-winged man who kept moonlight under his hat.
And you met Holden?
Oh yeah, some hunter's kid. Your father liked him, and that made 3 of us.
Then you were called heroes.
Maybe. But it's strange. The world changes. There's always some new threat. And heroes can't stay the same either. You make choices. You bargain with wild spirits. Fall for one of your friends, then find reasons to argue with the other. Well, it all works out somehow. Except, no, not everyone makes it.
Dad said I wouldn't be here without that man's sacrifice.
You'll be safe out there, won't you?
You could always come with me, show me how things are done.
I know you say that, but Well, where'd my old sword get to?
Will you try again?
The poison. It's coming from this tower.
We must save the village.
You know me, a sucker for retro titles, so of course, Astalon Tears of the Earth got my attention. I love the look, being kind of similar to Elwa's Awakening, where our heroes explore a mysterious tower in the desert in order to save their village from impending doom.
In order for us to survive, I had to embrace death.
It's more of a Metroidvania light in that exploration is gated by character abilities, even having a rogue legacy-like upgrade system that makes you more powerful after death, and me being me makes this a no-brainer pick. I've been itching for a good farming sim title and may just have found it with Sun Haven, one that takes the Stardew Valley concept into the fantastical realm. Your player character can be one of 7 races, and there are 3 worlds of humans, elves, and monsters to explore, each bustling with life and NPC characters. The expected farming, mining, fishing, cooking, and crafting systems are here, as well as romance options, so it does have the foundation of something great, so we'll see how it progresses in early access. If you love tactics RPGs, I strongly recommend that you check out Dark Deity, which is essentially indie Fire Emblem, but I'm not complaining. There are a large variety of heroes and playable characters, extensive RPG systems, a character bonds system, as well as so many possible class upgrade options, making it a truly standout example in the space. It's more mechanically complex, to the chagrin of some, complicating the weapon triangle or Fire Emblem into something much messier, so it will take some time to learn the system, but if you can get past that, there's plenty to be enjoyed in this game. A wonderful adventure game that hits close to home for creative types is Chicory: A Colourful Tale, taking place in a world where colour has been drained by an evil force, and our little dog protagonist finds themselves building the brush, a magical tool that allows you to quite literally paint colour back into the world. However, it's more of a traditional action-adventure game, so think of Zelda but with less combat, but the same amount of questing, puzzles, and exploration. The writing is fantastic, exploring themes of self-confidence, imposter syndrome, and genuine optimism despite the circumstances, making it quite the heartwarming experience.
Plague had ravaged the British Isles. In its wake, it left a trail of destruction. And yet, at the end of all things, comes a new beginning.
Colony Sim fans, listen up. You might want to pick up Going Medieval, since this sure is going places. City builder and simulation titles exist in a weird space in games, either being dead on arrival or somehow blowing up out of nowhere, where this game falls in the latter category, having both fortress building and survival defense components. Great start in early access, with only more to come, where this development team comprises of just 7 people, which makes it even more impressive.
You must have the vision and the strength to guide your people out of the dark and into a brave new medieval age.
What do you get when you combine sick pixel art, swarms of enemies like Diablo or Dynasty Warriors, tactical RPG elements like Final Fantasy Tactics, and a base building survival element like They Are Billions? Well, if you're familiar with this channel, the often mentioned The Last Spell will definitely come to mind, being one of the most impressive entries in the tactical roguelite space. While my earlier description may make this game seem like a derivative of those games, the beauty comes in the blending of elements and execution, which has been impressive. It's another early access title that has kicked the door down, where I'm waiting to see how much better this will get through the process. And of course, Ender Lilies, Quieters of the Night will be familiar to fans of this channel, since I've mentioned it in my video on the best indie games of the year so far, which explains its spot on the list. It's a dark fantasy Metroidvania about a priestess saving a world from corrupting rain, enlisting the help of fallen knights in order to do so. Watch my earlier video for more detailed thoughts, but since I do love this genre, it's a no-brainer pick, taking the #1 spot. To see the video that I was just talking about, click on this link and I will see you after the jump.